Thank you. So, welcome to... Okay. Sige, Pastor Vince. Welcome to Introduction to Free Methodist Church. This is your 5th class, if I'm not mistaken, sabi ni Kuya Jem and sabi ng mga classmates ninyo. And this class is one of the foundational class natin, especially sa sa foundation course, of course, no. Kasi Introduction to Free Methodist Church will help us to know if our church is really coming from God, no? Kung nasa tamang landas ba tayo, or are we following the right direction of the church, no? Kasi if we're just following for the sake na okay, goods to na denomination or okay to na denomination, without looking back to the history, parang hindi natin ma-solidify yung thought na, okay, I am really in the orthodoxy, or I'm really following the apostolic teachings of Christ, or I am really in the lineage of, knowing Christ sa buhay ko. So, yan yung purpose ng subject na ito. And at the same time, kung siguro sa ibang instances, no, you have taken the subject, Introduction to FMC, siguro sa mga teachers ninyo or sa mga tinuro sa inyo from the past, they are talking more on the history of the church, no? The history of the Free Methodist Church, sino yung founder natin, bakit nagkaganito, bakit nagkaganyan. So for this class, so sa class natin na ito, pagpasensyahan niyo yung Tagalog ko, no? For the longest time, hindi na ako nakapag-Tagalog. For this class, we'll be talking also about one of the basic doctrines of the Free Methodist Church, which is the doctrine of grace, doctrine of salvation, and doctrine of holiness. So, this is not parang sobrang lalim na subject about soteriology, about grace, about holiness. These are just the surface ba, para mas maintindihan natin kung anong ibig sabihin ng mga words na ito when we go to church, or yung mga basic doctrine na ito when we talk about for Methodism, or andito tayo sa church natin. Kasi most of the time, we incorporate, for example, when we talk about grace, okay, grace can be earned, something ganun yung na natutunan natin. Or on some cases, when we talk about holiness, holiness is about quietness, or parang hindi na lang ako magsasalita, no? That's holiness, or pagiging prim and proper. So yun yung view natin of holiness. But when we try to understand the Free Methodist Church, no, or the introduction of the Free Methodist Church, kailangan talagang maintindihan natin yung doctrine natin at the same time. So we'll be talking about first the history, no? On the first week we'll be talking about the history. On the second week we'll be talking about the basic doctrines of the Free Methodist Church. So yung tatlo lang, no, the grace, salvation, and yung holiness. So these three major doctrines are interconnected with each other. So yun yung kailangan natin na malaman. So first, since andito na kayo, yung iba, I don't know you, yung iba sa inyo hindi ko pa kilala. So kindly introduce yourself, no? Your name, from which annual conference you are, from which local church, and describe yourself in one word. So mag-start tayo kang Pastor Urbino Ragos. So from NPC. Just unmute your mic and siguro ipakita niyo yung face niyo para makita ko rin kayo.
Hello, Paz. Good evening. Sorry po, naka-join kasi ako sa dalawa kang PAS. Pastor's Fellowship din kasi. Na. So, yun po. Hello, good evening everyone. I'm Orbin Ragos, or call me Benz. And nag-enroll ako sa course na ito because yung superintendent namin ay ni-require ako kasi sa mga sa mga ang tawag nito, ministerial candidate for the ordination po. So, since galing po ako ng Church of the Nazarene, ng Philippine Nazarene College, so, ang foundation ko na pinagmulan when it comes sa Nazarene. So, I'm Free Methodist, so, na-require talaga na mag-join po dito. So, ayun po. Ano pa po yung part ng introduction?
Describe yourself in one word.
Describe yourself. Cute.
Okay.
Small. Sorry
Small
po.
but terrible.
Thank you po.
Okay, tumawa si Justin. So si Justin ang next. Go, Just.
Good evening po. I'm Justine Ryan Abinido po from NPC po and from FMC Balintawak po. Describe yourself in one word po. Masipag po. Ito na.
Thank you, Justin. Next natin si Ate Rebecca Ching from FMC Batangas.
Good evening po, Pastor. I'm Rebecca Ching from FMC Batangas. Isa pong nag-lead po sa children ministry dito. Describe yourself in one word. Mabait naman, Pas. Mabait po.
Okay lang.
Sige po.
Sige, thank you po. Sige, next natin si Jerome. PH Jerome.
Magandang gabi po. Pas, mayong gabi. Hello everyone, I'm Jerome Gakrama. Now I'm currently in Islacov Conference here in Visayas. And my local church po is Guadalupe. And if I will describe myself in one word, sabi nila energetic daw. Yun lang po. Salamat.
Thank you, Jerome. From Islacov. Islacov ngayon. Sige, let's go to Pastor Raif.
Sir, good evening po. My name is Ify Coino from NWMAC here in Cagayan de Oro City, Dayon local church from Taguluan, FMC. Describe yourself in one word. Sabi nila gorgeous daw, Pastor. Salamat
Sige,
po.
Pastora Gorgeous. Thank you po. Thank you, Pastor Raif. Sige, next natin is si Sister Nanil Lumingkit. Good evening po.
Mayang gabi, Pastor. Ako dahil si Nani Lumingkit.
Sorry. Akala ko babae. Sorry.
Laki, Pastor. Nani Lumingkit, ang name, Pastor. Conference sa NWMC, local church, dari sa Makanan, Pastor. Yeah.
Okay.
Pala kung sa Pastor, masipag sa church, sa mga gawain, Pastor ba?
Mm-hmm.
Sa
Praise
mga,
the Lord. Sige, thank you Kuya Nanil. Pinakugbae. Sige, next natin si Ate Mikay. Ate Michelle.
May gabi sa tanan. I'm Michelle Grace Campos. Just call me Mikay from Eastern Mindanao Conference, very far. I'm from San Francisco for Methodist Church, and then describe yourself in one word. Cheerful. Yun lang.
Thank you, Ate Kai. Sige, next natin si Mavi Bunda.
Yes po. Magandang gabi po sa lahat.
Evening.
I am Mavi Bunda po sa Islacov po sa Tagbilaran City po.
Oh, okay. Bohol. Okay.
I describe myself as ano po. Medyo simpleng lang po. Yan lang po.
Sige, simple. Sige, next natin si Jemarie Baginan. Wife ni Pastor John Ray ata to.
Hello, Pastor. Nasa biyahe lang po ako.
Sure, sure. Sige, God bless. Ingat sa biyahe. Regards kay Pastor John Ray.
Thank you po.
Sige, sige. Sige, next natin si Ate Janeline Avenido.
Good evening, Pas.
Good evening.
Second timer. Pas, pangalawa ko na to.
Okay lang.
Pero hindi ako nagpasa ng requirements noon. Ayun. Jeneline Jen Avenido ng Northern Philippine Conference from Family Christian Fellowship of Balintawak FMC. Describe yourself in one word. Fighter.
Fighter. Thank you, Ate Janeline. Nice to see you again. Okay. Next natin si Kuya James Alcans.
Magandang gabi po, Pas. I'm James Alcantara from NW MAC. Then akong local church is Makanan. So same ramig church ni Nanil. Then siguro, Pas, describe yourself is one striving, Pas. Striving sa tanan niya. Utang. Wala, Pas.
Laban lang. Igsuon mo ni Bros, Kuya James?
Dili, Pas. Igagaw lang ni.
Gagaw lang.
Igagaw.
Sige. Next natin si Islakov Mighty Jarina.
Good evening po, Pastor. Good evening po sa lahat. Naririnig po ba ako?
Yes po.
Na kasi signal sa amin. Ako po si Mighty Jarina from Islakov. Local church, Free Methodist Church, Talisay sa Cebu po. Ako po ay friendly na tao. Thank you
Friendly.
po.
Thank you. Next natin si Ate Karen B. from Islakov.
Good evening po, Pastor. Good evening, everyone. I'm Karen Barcelona from Islakov. Local church is Cebu Talisay Free Methodist. I describe myself as an introvert person. Thank you.
Thank you, Ate Karen. Same tayo, introvert. Sige, next natin is si Ate Jenny from Islakov. Okay, parang wala sa Ate Jenny. Let's go to Ate Eileen Joy from Islakov.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Eileen Joy Asong from Islakov, local church, Sara Iloilo FMC. Describe yourself in one, maybe masayahin, joyful. Thank you.
From your word, Joy, no?
Yes.
Next natin is si Pastor Gary and Sheila Abarabar.
Magandang gabi po, Pastor Isaiah, o sa lahat po ng mga classmate. My name is Gary Bill Abarabar from Free Methodist Church sa Cagayan de Oro City in WMC or in WMAC. Describe yourself in one word. Simple. Simple lang yun. Okay.
Simple lang.
Okay. Sheila.
Magandang gabi po. Ako pala si Sheila Barabar from NWMC. And local church is Carmen Free Methodist Church. And describe yourself in one word, silent.
Silent. Thank you po.
Silent but deadly. Sige, next natin, Estrada family. Thank you, Pastor Gary and Ate Sheila. Estrada family. Estrada fam.
Hello po, Pastor. Magandang gabi po.
Mm.
Magandang gabi din po sa mga classmate ko. Annalyn Estrada po sa Northern Philippine Conference, Balintawak FMC. Describe yourself. Mahiyain po.
Mahiyain. Sige po. Thank you. Sige, next natin si Ernani Pamad from NPC.
Magandang gabi po, Pas, at sa lahat. Ako po si Ernani Pamad from NPC under ng Akabuyaw FMC kay Pastora Betty Buo po. Thank you po. Maybe may bait naman ako dahil pakisama. Yun lang po.
May bait. Okay. Sige, thank you, Ate Ernani. And lastly, Kuya Carlo Ruiz.
Mayong gabi pa sa saya. My name is Carlo Ruiz from MW Mac. Makanhan Methodist Church under Juan Padilla Ruiz. Describe myself is humble.
Humble. Sige. Thank you, Kuya Carlo. And I think that's all. Balikan na lang natin mamaya yung mga hindi natin natawag, no? And also I am here with nandito ako ngayon sa library natin dito sa Bible School. Kasama ko yung mga students din natin from the Bible School, no? So di na sila magpapakilala, siguro makikita nyo sila one of these days. Sige. Let's go on sa ating course evaluation for this subject. So how you will be graded for this subject and what are my expectations sa inyo. And siguro you can also share your expectations later sa class natin, no? For course evaluation, attendance is 20%. So kung sino yung mga nandito sa Zoom, of course, they will be accounted for this 20% attendance natin. Participation, 10%, project, 20% reflection, 30% in quiz and exam will be 20%. So I think wala na tong quiz, exam na lang, no, for the last day of our class this coming September 12, we'll be having our exam. So for the whole lesson natin for this class. Attendance will be checked here 3 times, no? From the beginning, after the break. So since wala tayong break kasi nag-start tayo ng 7 and may end tayo ng 9. So usually kasi before nagsa-start kami ng 6. So may break kami I think 6:30 till 7 para sa sa dinner. Since wala na kayong break, so dire-diretso tayo and 5 minutes before the class ended. So turn on your cameras for screenshot, no? So hindi na need, no, na i-open nyo yung camera ninyo. I'll just take a screenshot kung sino yung mga nag-attend sa ating class for this time or for this day, for this evening. Participation, students should participate during class discussion and breakout session. May mga times na magbe-breakout session tayo because there are some questions na ito-throw ko sa inyo, no? And also, you can ask question, you can interrupt me, you can type your queries or your ideas dito sa chat box natin for some interaction during the class. So, I hope and I expect for your participation kasi ito yung fear ko sa online class, no? Before, sobrang rami, I think mga around 20 to 30 students pagkatapos nagta-turn off lang ng camera and parang for the sake lang na ma-enroll and yun, parang walang nangyari din. So sayang lang yung time and sayang lang yung effort ba pag ganun. So I hope that you'll participate at some point. At the same time, you'll not take these classes ba na parang tinitake nyo lang siya for compliance or parang sinabihan lang kayo ni Pastor. Take it heartily and at the same time as an act of faith, no, sa Panginoon natin. Your project, no, this is not technically your parang ang hirap man ito. Pero okay lang, no, since you're already I think lahat naman tayo dito are Christians. you can write your testimony, no? Your personal testimony with your life map. So ano ba tong personal testimony? This personal testimony ninyo will start from the beginning, or like siguro sa pagkabata ninyo, how you grew up and how you are involving in the ministry, or parang yung spiritual journey nyo, kumbaga ba. So wag na yung i-detailed yung ano lang, yung parang mga highlights lang ng buhay ninyo. And on the last page, so siguro parang 4 or 3 to 4 pages ito lahat. On the last page, build a life map. Ano ba tong life map? So para siyang mga scaling ba? Like for example, 0. So nandito nag-start yung 0 ninyo. Age 0 pagkapanganak ninyo. Since you are a Christian or living in a Christian family, so parang umangat siya ng ganyan. Nakilala niyo si Jesus Christ siguro by the age of 5. So ilagay niyo ganyan, tumaas. But at the age of 12 ninyo, so nag-group at lumaki kayo sa church, so tumaas na naman. Pero pagdating ng high school, nagbulakbol kayo, so parang bumaba yung spiritual life map ninyo. Then afterwards, nakilala nyo yung Panginoon, parang tinanggap nyo ulit si Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, tumaas na naman. Pagkatapos may problema kayo na experience, so a heavy problem or a life-changing na problem na ano ba, parang bumaba yung spirituality ninyo. So you can also write it there until dumating kayo, or parang hanggang sa dumating kayo sa point na itong time na to, how you are with the Lord. Are you on that level of spirituality? Parang grabe ba yung urge ninyo sa pag-serve sa Panginoon, or parang bumaba ba? So parang yun yung assessment ninyo for yourself about your life, no? Parang ito yung tinatawag natin na life map. So along with that, your 2 to 3 pages na personal testimony. So that will be submitted, I think, 2 weeks after our final class. So probably by the end of September, no? So onti lang to. This is just a small project, and this is all about your life. So I'll be grading you kung ano yung mga transition ninyo. So it's your testimony, it's your life map. So just submit it, no? And write it heartily. Kasi yun yung testimony and life story ninyo. By the way, bakit ito ba yung project ninyo, no? Because I want you to use that testimony in times na parang kung mag-share kayo ba, parang write it as if you are sharing to the public, or as if you are using it sa Sunday service ba as your life testimony doon sa mga churches ninyo. For what purpose? For the purpose of sharing who Jesus is sa buhay ninyo, and at the same time sharing kung paano ka binago ng Panginoon through life events na experience mo. So sige lang, if you have question, reserve it until the 8th slide. So pagkatapos ng mga presentation sa mga slides natin. For the reflection, student should write a 100 to 300 words of reflection each lesson or each day. So since per day tayo, so this evening meron na tayong lesson. So you can write your reflection right away, and you can submit it to me through Messenger. Pwede sa Messenger, pwede sa email, or in any forms. Pagkatapos i-record ko yan lahat, no? Kung masubmit na ninyo. Or pwede nyong i-type immediately from the Messenger, no? I-type nyo lang sa Messenger, pagkatapos i-send nyo sa akin para hindi na kayo magsulat sa kamay. Hindi na nyo, picturean. In writing a reflection, do not repeat what I have said. So ulitin ko, wag nyong ulitin yung mga sinabi ko na during class discussion. Reflection nga, di ba? So kung ano yung parang pumasok sa isipan mo, and what are the things na gusto mong i-apply sa buhay mo from our lessons, or ano yung mga realization ninyo. Do not summarize the lesson because it is a summary, hindi na yung reflection. No? Do not repeat, do not summarize. And number 3, do not copy from other resources. Kung may nakita kayo na topic ganito, ganyan, pagkatapos kinopya ninyo, so wag ganun. No, it's not a reflection. If you repeat it, if you summarize, or if you copy, that's not a reflection. In writing a reflection, you should write your own idea regarding the lesson and on what you have understand or understood no from the topic. Just simply write your own realization and opinion. Parang if you disagree with me, it's okay. I will give you a good grade kasi that's your opinion, no? Tignan lang natin kung ano yung pagka-sequence ng flow of thought ninyo or paano yung pagka-deliver ninyo sa reflection ninyo. So that's how you write your reflection. And you can write it in English, Tagalog, or Cebuano. So you can write it in your own language. Huwag lang Manobo kasi hindi ako marunong mintindi ng Manobo. So that's for reflection sa inyo po, no? Okay. Sige. For our lessons, dito sa Intro to FMC, I've divided it into 8 lessons. So 8 lahat yung lessons natin. First is the church history overview. Kasi yun nga yung sinabi ko, paano natin masasabi na legit or totoo or orthodox yung fina-follow natin na Free Methodist Church if we'll not know our history. So kailangan yung malaman yung history natin. Overview lang, parang isang pasada lang, no? Knowing what happened along the church history para mas maintindihan natin, okay pala ang Free Methodist Church kasi galing pala talaga to kay Christ. Ito pala talaga yung binild ni Christ na church, no? Next is the history of John Wesley or the history of Methodism. So we'll be talking about who John Wesley is kasi sa kanya nanggagaling yung parang major natin na theological understanding or theological background natin on how we believe about our doctrine, about our lifestyle, about our way of discipleship. So kay John Wesley yon. So dito natin makikita sa history ni John Wesley kung paano na-develop yung Methodism and kung ano yung context niya, kung ano yung nangyari sa kanya. No? The third is the history of B.T. Roberts. Dito na yung Free Methodism. So we'll be talking about B.T. Roberts kung ano yung pagiging Free Methodist, no? What is being a Free Methodist, no? Is sa buhay, sa situation natin ngayon. Kasi if I'll ask you why you are a Free Methodist, probably you'll answer things like, I'm a Free Methodist kasi yung papa ko and mama ko is Free Methodist. I'm a Free Methodist kasi yung pumunta sa bahay namin and nag-share ng gospel is Free Methodist. But the question is, ano ba talaga yung stand ng pagiging Free Methodist? What makes us a Free Methodist? Or ano yung distinction natin as a Free Methodist? So dito natin malalaman yan sa history ni B.T. Roberts, no? Kung bakit nabuo yung Free Methodist Church. Number 4 is the Free Methodist Church in the Philippines history. So kung paano siya na-develop rin dito sa Philippines and kung bakit ganito, bakit mas marami tayo sa Mindanao, bakit unti lang sa Visayas, unti lang sa Luzon, ano bang nangyari along those years? Paano ba tayo nag-start? Sino ba ang responsible dito ng mga tao? So yan yung pag-aaralan natin for the first week. So this first week, no? Number 5 or first lesson natin for the next week will be the doctrine of salvation. What is our view towards salvation? No? Ano ba yung salvation natin? Already not yet ba? Or yung salvation natin na once saved, always saved? Ano ba yung salvation natin? Yun lang ba yung point na tinanggap natin si Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior or anything else? So parang ganun. No, FMC doctrine of grace, no? We need to understand what grace is kasi yan yung parang isa rin sa mga major doctrines natin as a Free Methodist. And most of all, siguro the doctrine of holiness, no? Kasi we've been talking about the major doctrine of the Free Methodist Church is holiness, but most sa atin, no? Hindi lang mga members, hindi lang mga leaders, I think even sa ating mga pastors, hindi pa talaga fully grasp yung idea of holiness or the doctrine of holiness, no? Parang yung idea lang natin sa holiness is pagkabalaan or pagiging banal. So what's pagiging banal in the context of the Free Methodist Church? How can we be holy in this world? So yun yung question. And lastly, number 8 will be the Book of Discipline, no? FMC Book of Discipline. I will not tackle onto the specifics pero yung ano lang, yung overview lang once again ng Book of Discipline natin para mas maintindihan natin na ganito pala. Ito pala yung manual natin. It is important kasi ganito pala, ganyan pala. So, I hope you get this these points and will not exceed, no, parang ito yung limitation natin, no, scope and limitation of this subject. So sige, any questions or clarifications for our course evaluation? Kung nahihiya kayo, just type it here. Kung wala kayong question, thumbs up. Sige, okay. Sige na, okay na. Siguro, goods na yun, no? Wala nang question sa requirements natin. I hope you'll enjoy this class as well. So first, let's go to the first topic na. So our first topic is the church history, no? The overview of the church history. So, i-minimize ko lang to para... So, the bird's eye view of the Free Methodist Church, no? So first, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, we need to understand first the history of the church for us to be able to know kung tama ba itong pina-follow natin na simbahan. Or paano ba natin ma-judge, no, kung hindi natin alam kung ano yung nangyari sa past. So, as I'm watching, ano yung title ng na yun? Anyway, next na lang, no. Watching Netflix na series, pagkatapos she's talking about history. Those who do not know their history are doomed to repeat it again. So what are the things that happened in the history? Kung ano yung mga nangyari in the past na mali, ano yung mga nangyari na tama, yun yung parang makukuha natin. At the same time, masasabi natin sa sarili natin na I am proud to be a Free Methodist because this is what we believe, no? Panoramic view of Christianity. Kung titingnan natin dito, Old Testament and the New Testament, no? And sa gitna, siguro pangit yung picture natin, pero sa gitna, dyan yung intertestamental period or tinatawag natin na silent years, no? I don't know kung ano specifically, ilang years specifically yung silent years, but according to biblical scholars, it's more or less 400 years, no? These are the times na hindi nakipag-usap ang Panginoon, no? Walang prophet na pinadala. That's why if you'll try to see kung paano kung paano pinanganak si Jesus Christ and kung paano na-relay yung message na si Jesus Christ is the Messiah, it is not through a person, it is not through a prophet, but it is through an angel, no? Kung makikita nyo doon, parang lang, no? Shift lang onte. Interesting fact lang or fun facts lang. When Jesus was introduced in this world, he was not introduced by a prophet, no? He was introduced by an angel. Para mas makita natin yung legitimacy na si Jesus Christ talaga is the Messiah or he is the real the real savior of this world. So yun yung parang parang nag-solidify na si Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior because ang messenger ng Panginoon during that time was an angel. Where in fact, hindi lang siya isang angel, a multitude of angels agreed, no? And they were praising the Lord because the Messiah has come. So, another interesting fact lang yan para mas makita natin. Moving on, Galatians 4:4. But when the set time had fully come, God sent His Son, born of a woman, born under the law. So, probably some of us might think, bakit si Jesus Christ pinanganak on this specific era or in this specific time or in this specific place? Parang ganun, no? Sinabi ni Paul sa Galatians that that was the perfect timing na dapat dumating si Jesus Christ in this world. So, siguro tatanungin natin, kailan kaya pas yung perfect timing na dadating si Jesus Christ again on the second coming? So, hindi natin alam, no? Probably one of these days, babalik na si Jesus Christ. But in this verse, parang dito nag-solidify kung bakit si Jesus Christ is dumating on that specific time, on that specific era. So this is the Roman Empire. And in John 14:6, Jesus answered, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. That's why the emphasis here is the way, no? Kasi yung mga ginagamit nila before na term sa mga Christians is hindi pa Christians. Ang tinatawag pa nila before sa mga followers si Jesus Christ or yung nilagay yung faith nila kay Jesus Christ is followers of the way. That's why this is a very important fact para sa atin, no? Kasi pag sasabihin natin or mababasa natin sa Bible that followers of the way, immediately ang incorporation natin dyan is these people are Christians, no? In Acts 9:2, and ask him for letters to the synagogues in Damascus, so that if he found any there who belonged to the way, no, or the followers of the way, whether men or women, he might take him as prisoners to Jerusalem. So this is in the case of Paul, no, sa time ni Paul. Again, emphasis on the word the way, no. But this I confess to you that according to the way, according to Jesus Christ, which they call a sect, I worship the God of our fathers, believing everything laid down by the law and written in the prophets. So again, no, emphasis on the way. But here, interestingly, dito sa Acts 11:26, please don't forget it, no? Ito yung verse na pinakauna na tinawag ang mga Christians as Christian, no? And when he had found him, he brought him to Antioch for a whole year. They met with the church and taught a great many people. And in Antioch, the disciples were first called Christians, no? Una silang tinawag ng mga Christians doon sa Antioch. And una rin na tinawag ang mga Christians na Christians dito sa Acts 11:26. Before that, they were called followers of the way, no? Believers of the way. So, yan yung mga tawag sa kanila, mga tao nasa tamang daan, no? But here on Antioch, they were called Christians. The fullness of time. Kung babalikan natin yung Galatians 4:4, no? Ano yung sinabi doon? But when the set time had fully come. So ano yung set time dito? This is the set time or the full time. During the time of Jesus, dito nangyari yung Pax Romana or Roman peace na tinatawag natin. During the Roman peace, there is a relative war. So before that, sobra yung war. Parang every day, every time, every season, may war sa kanila. And kung titignan nyo yung sa Old Testament, a lot of captivities, a lot of conquering nations, mga ganito, ganyan yung mga nangyayari sa kanila. But here, on the Pax Romana, during the Roman peace, there's a relative peace. Andyan pa rin yung war, pero hindi na siya gaano kalala, no, during the time of Jesus Christ na pinanganak si Jesus Christ. Historians, no, referred to this as they are very tired of war na. Parang pagod na sila makipaglaban yung mga tao during this time. They wanted to have geographical connections. So andito na yung mga building of bridges and building of connections. Nandito na yung mga barter na mga systems. So dito na nangyari. Although it happened before, but during this time, parang hindi na siya gaano na issue. Parang this is becoming a norm sa kanila. No? Economically, open trade, and intellectually, open to new ideas. No? The culture, art, and science, dito na na-develop, and the universal language during this time is Greek. The time of Jesus Christ, yung language nila is Aramaic, no? Si Jesus Christ, Aramaic. Pero pagkasulat nila sa New Testament, it was written in Greek because Greek was the universal language during this time. And they are open to religious practices. That's why when we try to understand the writings of Paul, para makikita natin na maraming mga gods na in-encounter si Paul in this era or in this period. So, bakit fullness of time? Ano yung set na time na dapat ipanganak si Jesus Christ? It's because there is a Roman peace na nangyari sa kanila. So, a lot of possibilities. Pwede namang ipanganak si Jesus Christ during sa time nila, during sa time sa mga prophets, during sa time natin ngayon. But the perfect timing na dapat dumating si Jesus Christ is in this time during sa Roman peace or the Pax Romana. Sige. Okay lang, walang problema, Ate Josie. Sige. If you have questions or queries, just type it in our chat box. Kung medyo mabilis ako, sabihan niyo lang ako, Pas, medyo mabilis ka na, Pas. So, bagal-bagalan mo unti. Sige. Also, there are challenges. Though there is this Roman peace na tinatawag natin, meron pa ring mga challenges in this era or in this period. Challenges in the Roman Empire, internal factors, different personalities and characteristics of the emperors during the times of the early church. So yun yung nangyari. Weak and insecure emperors, power envy, and conspiracies. So ano ba tong mga weak and insecure emperors? If you recall Emperor Nero, si Nero parang naalala ko before nung medyo kabataan ko pa, medyo matanda na kasi ako ngayon. Just kidding. Ano yung parang nagbo-burn ng CD ba? Ang application nun sa computer is Nero Burn Smasher. Sa naalala ko. Kasi doon yung word na Nero parang incorporated siya sa sa kay Emperor Nero, because Emperor Nero is known for burning Christians, no? Sinusunog niya yung mga Kristiyano, parang they lit them to fire, no? Kasi sinasabi kasi nila na ang mga Christians daw are shining brighter. And sinabi pa ni Jesus Christ, you are the light of the world. Parang ginawa ito ni Nero na makiriba towards kay Jesus Christ. A light of the world pala kayo. So I lit you in the streets, no? Parang ginawa sila ng mga solo, yung mga Christians in the time of Emperor Nero. And there are a lot of cruel emperors during the time of Jesus Christ. That's why when John was writing Revelation, fun fact lang ito parang segue onte. When John was writing Revelation, he was looking to the emperor in their time, no? Kasi naka-experience sila ng persecution, naka-experience sila ng ganito, ganyan, so on and so forth. Because John was thinking na, okay, parang ito na talaga yung last days, no? So, pag-describe na nun, may mga famine, may mga persecution, it is really happening during the time of the revelation. The time of these emperors na nag-rule, no? During the early church na time, from AD 3, no? Pagkapanganak kay Jesus Christ till AD 325. So for 300 years plus, no? Dun yung suffering ng mga Christians under the Roman emperor, no? So ganang sinabi ko, though may Roman peace, pero meron pa ring mga challenges in the Roman Empire. Another external factors here na problema ng mga Christians before is the north. In the north, there are barbarian evasions, and in the south, Muslim evasion. So pag iwas sa kanila, pag iwas sa mga barbarians, pag iwas sa mga Muslims, and there are also local rebellions that they are experiencing during this time. In Acts 1:8, but you will receive the power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, in all Judea and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. So what happened during the outpouring of the Holy Spirit is dito nag-start yung time na nag-spread sila ng gospel or ng good news sa ibang tao. And it so happened na nangyari din sa atin ngayon, continually. Ito naman yung time ni Paul. And Saul approved of their killing him. The church persecuted and the church scattered. So since the church is persecuted here in this time, the church scattered. So parang dahil inuusig sila ni Saul during this time, hinahanap sila ng mga parang teachers of the law, the Roman Empire, they are persecuted. The early church is persecuted. That's the reason why they scattered. Kaya rumami sila during their time. On that day, a great persecution broke out against the church in Jerusalem, and all except the apostles were scattered throughout Judea and Samaria. So it happened because pinapatay na sila, no? Hinahunting na sila during their time. That's why they were able to spread the gospel, or they were able to witness more because of these happenings, no, sa kanilang panahon. Probably kung titingnan natin yung pattern sa kanila, it's because they experience persecution. Siguro yan yung isa sa mga motivations nila why they are very parang porsigido sila na i-share yung gospel, share yung good news, kasi probably one of these days papatayin na sila. Probably one of these days hindi na nila makita yung isa't isa. At least makikita nila yung isa't isa dun sa langit, no? So parang yan yung naging motivations nila. Sige. Oops. Those who had been scattered preached the word wherever they went. So yan yung sinabi ko, no, and it was accounted in Acts kung ano yung nangyari sa kanila. The church persecuted, the church scattered, preached the word wherever they went. Okay, parang bumalik tayo dito. Oops. So the conversion of Paul, no, in Acts 9. Here, kung titignan natin yung picture natin dito yung mga journeys ni Paul, no? First missionary journey, second missionary journey, and third missionary journey. And also there's a voyage to Rome, no? Papuntang Rome na nangyari kay Paul. So since we are not talking about intro to the Bible, so let's skip this one. Dito na tayo sa ito, ano yung persecution na nangyari sa kanila? Their persecution is chronic and sporadic, no? Right there and then, and at the same time patuloy, parang continuous ang nangyari sa kanila. For the Jewish Christian, ang pini-persecute sa kanila is on the religious sense, no? Kasi yung mga Jews, wala naman silang pakialam kung hindi naman sila papatay, ganito, ganyan. Yung mga sa Roman government naman yung naghahunting sa kanila. For the Jewish Christians, ang accusation sa kanila is for them being not religious, no? Or parang not following to the Jewish customs, or being a Jew, no? Since they believe in one God, pagkatapos dito dumating si Jesus Christ, parang sinasabi ng mga Jews sa mga Jewish Christian na kayo, mga heretic na kayo, or mga hindi na kayo people of God, mga ganito ganyan. So problem with the religious sense, no? And for the Gentile Christians, they're being accused of, number one, antisocial, second, anti-government, anti-family, foreign religion, and practice of cannibalism. So antisocial, anti-government because ang nangyayari kasi sa kanila before, parang if you'll try to understand more, no, na if you want to follow Jesus Christ, no, you follow the cross, iwan mo yung mga nanay, tatay mo, ganito, ganyan. Kaya nagiging antisocial sila. Parang they are grouping themselves together exclusively, yung mga Christians dito. So yan yung accusation sa kanila. Where in fact, hindi naman ganyan yung nangyayari. They're anti-family kasi yan nga yung sinabi ko. They're leaving their family for the sake of Christ. Iniiwan nila yung pamilya nila, yung nanay, tatay, yung mga anak, yung mga asawa nila for the sake of Christ. Yun yung mga nangyari. And yan yung, again, accusation nila. Kasi taliwas naman ito sa mga nangyayari sa kanila during this time. They're considered as a foreign religion, no? And lastly, they practice cannibalism. So yan yung parang naintindihan ng mga tao about Christianity. Kasi during the time of the Last Supper, di ba sinabi ni Jesus Christ na nagbigay siya ng mga symbol? Ito yung bread, symbolizes my body, and this is the wine, symbolizes my blood, no? Do this in remembrance of me. So every time that these Christians gathered together, no, habang nagagather sila, ang ginagawa nila is nag-last supper sila or nag-holy communion sila together. So ang nangyayari sa kanila, kapag merong tao na nakikinig sa kanila, this is the body of Christ and this is the blood of Christ, no? Which is given for you. Take this or eat this in remembrance of Jesus Christ. So parang, ano ba? They're thinking na, uy, literal na kumakain sila ng body ni Jesus Christ. Literal sila na umiinom ng dugo ni Jesus Christ. That's why they were accused of being cannibals, no? So parang nakakatawa, pero ito yung parang accusation ng mga tao towards sa mga Christians in this time. So they're really persecuted, no? Kasi yun nga, ito yung mga description ng mga persecutions nila. So Polycarp, one of the apostolic fathers sa early church, sinabi niya, for 86 years, I've served my king and he has done no wrong. Why should I forsake him? So yan yung sinabi ni Polycarp, no, one of the apostolic fathers during his persecution, no, na sinabihan man siya, i-renounce mo si Jesus Christ and I will save you. Hindi kita papatayin. And ang response ni Polycarp is this one, for 86 years, I've served my king and he has done no wrong. Why should I forsake him? So yan yung sinabi niya. By the way, when we talk about apostolic fathers or apostolic succession, no, kasi important yan ng mga words natin when we talk about or when we deal theological understanding or things, no. First kasi yung teaching ni Jesus Christ, yung pinaka-supreme, pinakataas. Pagkatapos, sino ba yung mga pinasahan ni Jesus Christ? Sino ba yung mga tinuruan talaga niya? Any answers, no? From you. I-chat nyo lang yung answer ninyo. Sino ba yung mga tinuruan ni Jesus Christ? Ha?
Disciple.
Mga disciples, no? Or, ang term kasi na disciples, followers kasi yun. So, generic, parang ganun ba? So, ang ginamit na mga term dito para maintindihan natin yung succession is the apostles. So first is Jesus Christ teaching the apostles, and now the apostles is teaching the apostolic fathers or tinatawag natin na mga church fathers. So yun, no? Jesus, apostles, apostolic fathers, then dito na tayo, no? In this succession. Kaya tinawag siya na apostolic succession, no? Coming from the teaching of Jesus Christ until na dumating sa atin. Kaya bakit natin masasabi na totoo yung Free Methodist Church, hindi siya kulto or hindi siya heretic? It's because of the apostolic succession. We are coming from the teachings of Jesus Christ, passed on to the apostles, passed on to the apostolic fathers, until to our forefathers, no, sa Methodism and even sa Free Methodism, until dumating tayo sa point natin ngayon of being a Free Methodist in our generation today. So yun yung tinatawag natin na apostolic succession. So Polycarp is one of the disciples of the apostles. Kaya tinawag siya na or considered si Polycarp as one of the apostolic fathers, no? Or church fathers na tinatawag natin. So ito yon, no? Sa Colosseum sila parang pinipersecute. Kung makita natin dito, may pinapakain sa mga leon, may sinusunog, and this is an arena for them, no? Parang ito yung way of entertainment nila before, feeding Christians to lion and burning Christians all over, no? So yan yung persecution na nangyari sa kanila. Ito, no? Sa mga barbarians. Parang sinasabong sila sa arena together. Also, here, makikita natin, dito nag-gather ang mga Christians before. Kung may nakita kayo yung symbol na fish, di ba? Yung fish, ewan ko kung i-drawing ko na lang sa hangin, no? yung parang ganito na fish ba? Yun ay tinatawag na ichthus, no? Or Yesu Cristo, Huios Soter. So something, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, saves. So yun yung meaning nung fish na yun. And every time na may fish, no? Or any symbolism na makita nila doon sa mga catacombs, alam nila may church gathering doon or nagagather yung mga church doon to worship the Lord and at the same time to share their testimony, to have fellowship, so on and so forth sa pagsamba sa Panginoon. So ang catacombs, ito yung mga libingan 6 feet under, no? Nakikita natin ngayon sa mga libingan natin parang diretso lang siya or nakapansyon or may mga sa mausoleo, sa mga, something like that. Pero before, ang kanilang mga libingan is under the ground, no? And parang nilalagay yung lang yung mga yung mga yung mga patay doon sa catacombs. So ito yung mga gathering place nila. And even siguro if you'll visit Israel, present pa rin yung mga catacombs na ito kung saan sila nagagather together. It's underground, no? Doon sila nagtitipon-tipon. Also, isa rin sa mga places na pinupuntahan nila or ginagather nila together are these caves and the forest, no? Also, parang gusto ko i-emphasize that in Christianity, it often works more on symbols. Parang may talaga ba? Parang may kabuluhan talaga yung mga symbols when we talk about Christianity. Kasi yun, pinakauna dito nila na symbol is yung fish. Kasi hindi pa sila gumagamit dito ng cross. Gumamit sila ng cross during the medieval period. Kaya kung makita niyo yung mga shield ng mga soldiers before or ng mga warriors before, 'di ba? Yung shield nila parang may cross na nakalagay. It's because when they're battling, parang sinasabi nila sa sarili nila that I battle with Christ. So, yun. Pagkatapos yung espada nila, it's also a parang rin siya. Parang cross din yung design niya. Kasi yun din, no? It symbolizes Christ when they fight together. Kaya yun, galit yung mga Muslim during the Crusades because yun yung ginagamit nila. And parang nag-jump na kaunti, no? Pero sige lang, para mas maintindihan natin ba, when they're fighting, ginagamit nila yung symbol ni Christ kasi they believe that when Christ is with them, they are more powerful in their time before. So, symbolism really plays an important role in Christianity. Siguro sa atin ngayon, medyo hindi nagaano. Siguro nga sa mga churches natin, yung cross is nandun sa sa really front, no? Parang nandun talaga sa front ng simbahan natin. Or probably outside of our church, may cross talaga na symbol. Kasi yun yung symbolism na ginagamit natin na, alam natin na, okay, Christian ito na simbahan na ito. So, parang ganun. No? Siguro, you know what I mean. Okay. Now, let's go to Christianization of Roman Empire. Siguro, this is parang overwhelming na sa inyo, no? Pero, let's just try to endure this one para mas maintindihan natin yung church history or para mas mabigyan natin ng diin kung bakit tayo naging Free Methodist. No? On AD 325, on the year 325, naging Christian nation ang Roman Empire. It's because of Emperor Constantine. No? Na-solidify siya on AD 325. Then dito nangyari yung tinatawag natin na Edict of Toleration. It's because of Constantine, no? Nangyari na siya yung naging emperor, parang tinolerate niya yung mga Christians and wala nang persecution na nangyari sa mga Christians during this time. Also, that edict was called Edict of Milan. No? So, yun yung nangyari dito. So, right afterwards, during the AD 325, right after na dineclare ni Constantine na okay, wala na kayong papatay ng mga Christian, wala na kayong i-persecute ng mga Christian, right there and then nag-gather yung mga Christian, yung mga bishop, nag-gather yung mga church leaders together again to battle na naman yung mga heresy or kung sa term natin ngayon, yung mga kulto. Kasi yung kulto na term is nagdedepende kasi yan kung sino yung mga tao na hindi in accordance with our doctrine, parang yun yung tinatawag natin na kulto. Sila rin, meron din silang karapatan na tawagin tayong kulto because we are different with them. That's why the word cult is not, parang ginagamit na term in a, parang Christian academic na or Christian theology. Ang ginagamit talaga na term is heresy or heretic. Once you are heretic, meaning to say you are not in line with the orthodox, no? You are not in line with the teachings of Jesus Christ. Kung ano yung mga tinuro ni Jesus Christ, hindi ka in line doon, ang tawag sa'yo is heretic or you're a heresy. You're practicing heresy. So, ganun. During this time, sa AD 325, nangyari na may mga issues na naman with the church, no? Ang issue nila dito is about who Jesus is. Kung tao ba si Jesus Christ, kung God ba si Jesus Christ, kung totoo ba talaga na anyong tao si Jesus Christ, yun yung parang issues nila during this time sa AD 325 or yung tinatawag na natin na Council of Nicaea, no? Or sa Nicene na creed or dito sa Council of Nicaea nga. By the way, the role of the bishop before sa time sa early church is hindi gagaya ng role natin ng bishop ngayon. Kasi ang bishop natin in this era or in this period is more like siya yung tao na responsible of organizing things, parang sa structure ng church natin, on preserving what's our denominational stand, ano yung mga programs na gagawin natin sa church. Yun yung parang trabaho ng bishop natin ngayon. But in the early church, there's only one job, no? Isa lang talaga yung trabaho ng bishop in the early church. Their job is to protect the church, no? To protect the integrity of the church and to protect the people from heresy or heretics. Ang ginagawa nila is pag may dumadating na mga wrong teachings about Jesus Christ, the role of the bishop is to correct it and to battle against it. So parang nangyayari doon is meron silang mga theological debates na nangyayari, and kung sino yung matatalo, he will be considered as heretic and he will be parang ina-outcast, no? Para hindi siya makapaghasik ng lagim, no? Yan na lang yung term natin. Hindi siya makapaghasik ng lagim on teaching the wrong teachings in their time or in their era. So yun yung role talaga ng bishop. That's why here in the Council of Nicaea, since marami ng mga wrong teachings na lumalabas or marami ng mga wrong teachings na nafi-feed sa mga tao, kaya nag-gather na sila together to talk about the what is right or what is our doctrine, ano ba talaga yung stand natin, ano ba talaga yung kailangan natin na gawin, so on and so forth with this belief of ours, no? So, dito na na-develop. Kaya kung titignan natin, bakit ba meron tayong New Testament na pinanganak, no? Sorry sa Tagalog ko. Pinanganak ang New Testament, it's because of the rise of the heresies. Marami na kasing mga wrong teachings about Jesus Christ, kaya kailangan na i-develop yung New Testament natin. So before, wala pang New Testament because it's really fresh para sa kanila. Nakita pa nila si Jesus Christ, alam nila kung nangyari kay Jesus Christ, alam nila kung ano yung transition ng mga disciples going from this place, going to that place, no? Even ang mga writings ni Paul, it is exclusive only for that church. But during the time na nag-rise up yung mga heretics or yung mga wrong or yung mga false teachers, nag-decide ang church na we need to battle these heresies, no? Or these heretics na lumalaganap ngayon. So ang first nila na na solution is yung apostolic succession, yung pasalin-salin na teachings about kay Jesus Christ. But what happened during the apostolic succession, merong mga wrong teachings na parang nagfi-fill in, kaya medyo na-distort yun onte. That's why there's a development towards the New Testament. Kaya nabuo yung New Testament natin, the New Testament canon. Kaya naging 27 books lang yung New Testament kasi ganito ganyan. Kung tatanungin niyo ako kung sino ang nag-compile ng New Testament, I don't know, no? But one thing for sure, sigurado ako, it is God who compiled it together. Kasi yun yung parang kung nakikita nyo sa Facebook nyo yung sino pa yun sa Catholic Church ba na nagdedebate na sila yung may authority. Yung pangalan nun? Si Father Darwin, yung sa Bohol ata yun, no? Sabi niya na may authority ang church, ganito ganyan, sa Bible, ganito ganyan. But in fact, may some points na tama siya, pero kung titignan mo, hindi talaga yung church ang nag-compile ng 27 books. It is God, no, who orchestrated it. Sabi pa nga ni John Webster, it is the hallowing power of God or it is the sanctification of God kung bakit nabuo yung 27 books na yon. Kasi ang role ng church, they are just there to approve na okay, ito yung 27 books natin. Ito yung New Testament natin. Walang maa-add dito, walang mamaminus dito. And it is very critical and crucial. Like for example, parang nagbibliology na ako dito, no? Pero okay lang para mas maintindihan natin kung bakit kailangan or necessary yung New Testament in this time. For example, there are 4 letters na sinulat ni Paul going to the Corinthian church. Pero bakit dalawa lang yung nasa Bible natin? So it's because yun nga, yung one thing for sure, it's because it is God's working kung paano yun na-compile doon sa canon natin. Yan yung belief natin, no? Kasi ang nandito sa atin or yung binabasa natin sa Bible natin na Corinthians, yung 1st and 2nd Corinthians, these are the 2nd Corinthians and the 4th Corinthians. Ang 1st and 3rd Corinthians, hindi siya na-compile sa Bible natin. Sinabi pa nga ng mga biblical scholars that the 3rd Corinthians na sinulat ni Paul was considered as the painful letter of Paul to the Corinth, no? To the Corinthian church. Kasi grabe yung siguro pangasaba ni Paul dito sa kanila. Grabe yung mga words ni Paul correcting these Corinthian believers. So titignan natin yung 2nd Corinthians and yung 4th Corinthians lang yung dumating sa canon natin. So anyway, to continue, they are battling against heretics or wrong teachings or false teachings, no, which happened in their time. Siguro sa time natin ngayon, one of the rising na mga false teaching is yung prosperity gospel. So I'll be tackling it siguro one of these days, no. Okay, to continue, different main movements of Christianity, 3rd to 11th century, early Christian theology. There's Gnosticism. Kung titignan nyo or babasahin nyo yung Bible, specifically kay John, no, he's talking about Gnosticism, that matter is evil. Sorry for the wrong spelling, no. Docetism, Jesus is purely spirit. He is not human. Sa Arianism naman, Jesus is subordinate to the Father. That's why during the Council of Nicaea, after nila na-discuss yun, after nila na-finalize everything sa kanilang arguments about who Jesus is, natapos nila yung isulat yung Nicene Creed, no? I believe in God the Father, no? The maker of heaven and earth, so on and so forth. Kung titingnan natin yung portion kay Jesus Christ, sobrang taas compare sa Father and sa Holy Spirit because they were trying to address what happened on the teachings of Jesus or yung mga teachings about kay Jesus Christ during this time. Also, during this period, dito na nag-start yung tinatawag natin na monastic movement or yung mga monastery, yung mga monks, no, have ascetic life from secularism and the worldliness. So, kung titignan natin, dito ba naka-pattern yung holiness? Kasi I believe parang ito yung view ng mga Christians ngayon about holiness, no? Parang secluding yourself from the world ba? Parang incorporate mo yung sarili mo na okay, I am not of the world, so kailangan kong umalis sa mundo and to live on my own. Siguro yan yung view natin towards holiness, but siguro spoilers, no? hindi yun yung view natin about holiness, no? Siguro part lang yan, pero hindi talaga yan yung ultimate view natin of how we view holiness. Parang paulit-ulit yung words ko doon. And next is this crusades. So kung yung sinabi ko kanina na crusades, no? This time, di na tayo magdidig deeper. This time, yung Pope nila, the Pope commanded na magkaroon ng Holy War. Ano ba yung Holy War? The Holy War, if you will participate on that war, ang mangyayari sa'yo is magiging or malilinis yung kasalanan mo or absolution of sin ba para mawawala yung mga kasalanan mo if you'll participate on that war. Yung tinatawag nila na crusades or holy war. And ang ginagawa nila dito is pinapatay nila yung mga tao or specifically yung mga Muslims, and parang yan yung way of evangelism nila ba? Na they are bringing swords and shields and horses. Pagkatapos, ang ginagawa nila, okay, tanggapin mo si Jesus Christ or hindi. So, kung sabihin ng mga Muslim na hindi, of course, patayin talaga sila. That's why ganyan yung galit ng mga Muslim sa mga Christians because of these crusades. Kaya mayroon akong nakausap na isang priest, no? Sabi ko sa kanya, ano yung tingin mo sa crusades? Sabi niya, it is one of the dark ages of Christianity. And I agree with him because during the medieval period, maraming mga pangit na mga nangyari na ginawa ng mga Christians towards the people. That's why parang napangit yung image ng Christianity. That's why siguro isa sa makikita ko na redemption of Christianity is yung pagdating ng Protestantism. So we'll discuss about Protestantism a little bit lang, no? Dito rin sa discussion natin. To move forward, Great Schism, separation of the Western Roman Catholicism and the Eastern Orthodox Christianity. So, tinan natin yan i-tackle, but kung isipin natin, dalawa yung Pope, no? Meron ring Pope sa Eastern Orthodox, merong Pope din sa Roman Catholic Church. So, di natin yan i-tackle. Let's move forward. Protestantism, no? Protestantism began in Germany in 1517 when Martin Luther published his 95 Theses as a reaction against the sale of indulgences by the Roman Catholic Church, no? Ang nangyari kasi parang salvation by works, no? Mabili na siya. Pwede mo nang bilhin yung salvation mo. Kaya nag-post siya ng 95 Theses si Martin Luther. 95 statements na mali yung view ng Roman Catholic towards indulgences, towards salvation, towards justification. Kaya nangyari yung Protestantism. Kaya sinasabi ko, ito yung parang redemption arc ng Christianity, no? Itong nangyari na tawag dito. Nalimutan ko yung specific term. Pero nangyari na yung Protestantism supposedly before, pero hindi talaga siya na-push. Ang nakapag-push nito talaga is si Martin Luther. And going back, siguro balik tayo onte. During the medieval period, yung tinatawag natin na Dark Ages of Christianity, maraming mga nangyari or maraming mga ginawa ang church, no, na pangit. Like for example, yung indulgences or yung penance. Ang intention ng penance is supposed na for restitution. Ay ba yung restitution? Parang na-try nyo na ba na mag-pray sa Panginoon pagkatapos or nag-ask ng forgiveness sa Panginoon pagkatapos parang hanggang ceiling lang yung prayers ninyo? Or parang hindi man ako napatawad ng Panginoon sa mga kasalanan ko? Na-try nyo na ba yan or hindi pa? No?
Na-try po. Parang
Okay, na-try, no? Siguro hindi lang isa pero most of us, so hindi ko na lang lahatin, no? Pero most of us experience that kind of a relationship with God or sa ating pagka-Christian na nag-pray tayo sa Panginoon for forgiveness, nag-pray tayo sa Panginoon pero parang yung prayer natin is hanggang ceiling lang or yung prayer natin is hindi na talaga aabot sa Panginoon. So during those period or time na experience din yan ng mga believers during the Middle Ages. Kaya ang ginawa ng church, ng Roman Catholic Church to be specific, gumawa sila ng parang ano ba, program, or hindi man to program, system siguro, na to ease that guilt feeling. Kasi may guilt feeling yung tao every time na ganyan yung mga nangyayari. So, to ease that guilt feeling, kailangan mong mag-sacrifice on something. Kaya yan yung penance and indulgences, no? Magbibigay sila ng penance para, okay, na nawala na yung guilt feeling ko. Salamat Lord sa pagpatawad sa akin. So, kailangan may sacrifice ka na gagawin para mawala yung guilt feeling mo, or yun, para mapatawad ka ng Panginoon. So, good sana yung intention, because it would ease again, no, the guilt feeling inside. But what happened during sa pagligid sa panahon, pag-ikot ng panahon, ang nangyari sa kanila is naging abuse yun, no? Parang ginawa na business ng church, no? Sorry for the term. Pero yun yung parang naging business na nila. Kaya na-develop na yung purgatory nila na theology, yung kapag yung sa mga souls na hindi pa naligtas ng Panginoon, pwede kang magbigay doon, do good works para ma-elevate sila papuntang langit. So parang nangyari na ginawa itong abuse ng church. So the church became abusive during the medieval period. Kaya yan yung tinatawag natin na dark ages of Christianity. Siguro if kung nakita na ninyo yung or napanood nyo na pala yung movie na Pope's Exorcist, no? Siguro I'm not recommending you to view some yung mga horror na mga movies, pero for the interest, no, natin, i-share ko lang yung nangyari sa Pope's Exorcist kasi it's one of the historical na mga nangyari and important rin sa Christianity. It happened pala that parang i-shortcut ko lang yung story. Ang nangyari pala doon during the time of the Inquisition. Ang Inquisition, ito yung time na if you are declared as heretic, if you are declared as heretic, ang gagawin sa iyo in the medieval period is ikukulong ka nila pagkatapos may mga thorns, no, na parang ikikage ka doon pagkatapos papatayin ka nila. So yun yung nangyayari ba. And yun, kung mali yung mga teachings mo, mali yung influence mo sa ibang tao, ganito ganyan, parang kukunin ka ng Roman Catholic Church pagkatapos ilalagay ka doon sa Inquisition chamber pagkatapos papatayin ka. So, it's good kasi na suppress yung mga teachings, mga false teachings, pero it is not the will of God to kill people. That's why during the time sa Crusades, during sa time sa Spanish Inquisition, parang doon natin makikita ba na this is not the work of God. This is the work of the devil. Kaya doon sa Pope's Exorcist na movie, parang doon na-expose ni Father Amorth no na, nasapian pala yung isang priest this time. That's why parang nasulsulan ng priest na yun yung Pope na kung may mga heretic na mga tao in our area, pwede natin na on that process of inquisition para patayin sila, ganito, ganyan. And I believe that's not the will of God sa humanity. So, again, no, a lot of things that had happened during this medieval period na, shall I say, parang pumangit yung view natin sa Christianity. Like, you have the reason to be mad towards Christianity kasi ganito yung nangyari sa kanila. That's why parang masasabi ko na redemption arc itong Protestantism because it breaks the norm of abuse sa Roman Catholic Church. That's why here, Martin Luther, no, nag-post talaga siya ng 95 theses to correct those wrong and false teachings. That's why siguro isa sa mga sinabi ng mga Roman Catholic, no, kasi meron din silang term na counter-reformation, yung Council of Trent na nangyari. And isa sa mga tinapo nila na issue about kay Martin Luther is ginawa lang to ni Martin Luther because he wants to get married. And totoo naman talaga na later on, nagpakasal si Martin Luther and nagkaroon siya ng mga anak. So, parang again, fun fact lang. No? Okay, no? Martin Luther in his 95 Theses, the father of Protestantism, no? University of Wittenberg, doon niya pinost yung 95 Theses and sinabi niya that this is unbiblical. No? The prayer for the dead, the penance, the purgatory, the Pope can forgive the punishment of sin, but not the guilt, no? So doon parang in totality, pwede nyo namang i-search sa internet ano yung mga sinulat ni Martin Luther doon na 95 Theses. And it's very rich with theological understanding. Siguro masasabi ko na paulit-ulit siya kasi may gusto na i-emphasize si Martin Luther doon sa mga points niya, no. Thesis means statement or statement. But the main issue once again is justification by faith. Gusto niyang i-address yung justification is not by works. Justification is not by any means or merited favor na kailangan mong gawin para ma-earn mo yan. It is by faith, no? It is by grace through faith. So yan yung parang in-address ni Martin Luther during this time. To continue, may nangyari naman na Swiss Reformation, no? So this is after the Protestantism. Pero kung titignan natin, ang nangyari kasi is Roman Catholicism pagkatapos Protestantism. Then afterwards, yun nag-split silang dalawa. Parang in the middle doon yung Church of England, which is from John Wesley. So tomorrow we'll be talking about the Church of England para mas maintindihan natin na kung saan tayo nanggagaling, no? That's why Free Methodist or the belief of Free Methodist is parang nandun tayo sa middle, no? We are not onto the Reformed side fully. Hindi rin tayo dito sa Roman Catholic side fully. Parang yung gusto ko i-quote si Pastor Bating dito, the safest and parang masabi niya the most wonderful na part of us being a Christian is here dito sa Free Methodism kasi nandito tayo sa gitna, no? Hindi natin i-emphasize yung hyper grace, hindi din natin i-emphasize yung work. Nandito lang tayo sa gitna. Because of grace, we're able to work. Yun yung parang emphasis ng Free Methodism or bukas titignan natin ano yung emphasis ni John Wesley towards all of this, no? England, the Reformation began with King Henry VIII, no? Yung tinatawag natin na Church of England or the Anglican Church. Dito nanggagaling si John Wesley, no? So kung titignan mo dyan in the middle, ulitin ko, para ang Church of England kasi meron siyang gist of Roman Catholicism, but at the same time meron din siyang gist of reform no na tradition. Kasi meron silang mga formality dito, meron pa silang mga yung tawag dito, clerical na mga gowns, clerical na mga suot, no, sa mga clergy nila. So kaya kung titingnan mo si John Wesley, para talaga siyang Roman Catholic in his sa pananamit niya, no, and in everything. Kasi ang influence niya is doon sa Anglican Church. Okay? Last part, ito yung sinasabi ko noon na Catholic Inquisition and Expulsion. So, pinapatay yung mga Christians, yung mga tao dito or yung mga heresies during this time. No? To add on, most of Northern Europe became Protestant. And on Southern Europe remained Roman Catholic. So kung titingnan mo dito sa upper part, sa northern part, dito mga Protestants lahat. And dito sa southern part, ito yung mga Roman Catholic. So kung titignan mo dito, we are coming from the Philippines and sino man yung nagsakop sa Philippines, di ba? Taga Spain. And ang nag-lead sa kanila is Portuguese na si Magellan. So, kung titignan natin dito, it is on the Southern Europe, meaning to say their influence is Roman Catholic. That's why pagdating ng mga Spaniards dito sa Philippines, they introduced God in a Roman Catholic way. That's why we became a Roman Catholic nation. No? So yan yung nangyari. Kung titignan mo rin dito, United Kingdom, kung saan nanggaling si John Wesley, Germany, and siguro move forward tayo unti sa World War II, no? Dito sa Germany. Ang nangyari sa kanila, if you participate in yung Nazism, or ang tawag dun? Nakalimutan ko. Basta if you participate sa movement ni Hitler during this time, you're considered as Christian. No? Kaya normal lang sa kanila na pumatay, normal lang sa kanila na ganito, ganyan yung gagawin. Parang naging corrupt din yung Christianity during this time sa Germany, no. Imbis na Christian nation sila, Protestant nation, but to be specific. Pero ang nangyari sa kanila is na parang na-distorted rin, no. Parang dark ages of Christianity rin. Kasi if you'll participate, you're a true Christian, no. Kaya pinapatay nila yung mga Jews, kaya hindi daw yun mga Christian yung mga Jews, no. So yun yung nangyari during this time or era or period sa kanila. That's why when Bonhoeffer made his stand na Christian siya, okay na sana siya doon sa New York, pero umuwi talaga siya sa Germany to face Hitler, no? Gusto niyang patayin si Hitler kahit Christian siya para matigil ang mga kasamaan ni Hitler, pero God did not allow it to happen. So, yun pa rin, no? Anyway, let's continue. During the Renaissance period, ito rin yung period ng Protestantism, no? The age of enlightenment or the year of enlightenment, the intellectual pursuit, art and science, humanism, and secularism. So dito na na-develop yung secularism. It's because naging corrupt naman yung church, no? This is a transition from the medieval period to the Renaissance period. Naging corrupt yung church, kaya meron na tayong tinatawag na separation of church and state. Kung before, it was emphasized during yung kay Jesus Christ, no, na time na ibigay mo yung kay Caesar kung paano yung o kung ano yung para sa kanya, ibigay mo sa Panginoon kung ano yung para sa Panginoon. So, kung doon yung parang emphasis ng separation of the church and state natin doon. Pero kung titingnan mo sa life ni Jesus Christ was very involved towards the world, no? Kung paano dapat maging kung ano yung dapat influence natin towards the world. Yan yung tinuturo ni Jesus Christ. But again, because of what happened in the past, of what happened during the Middle Ages or the medieval period, pagdating sa Renaissance period, dito na na-emphasize yung secularism or yung separation of the church and state. Kaya meron tayong tinatawag ngayon na term na secular and spiritual, no? Ano ba yung saan ka ba nag-aral as a secular man ako nag-aral pas ngayon o saan ka nag-aral sa Bible school, okay, spiritual. Pero kung titignan mo in the sight of God, it is never secular nor spiritual. Everything is in line with the Lord. Kung nag-aral ka sa hindi pagpastor, okay lang din yan, walang problema yan. It can also be spiritual, no? It's never separated in the sight of God. So, ano lang yan. Parang a sort of reminder para sa atin. So, I believe lahat tayo dito or iba sa atin dito hindi nag-aral pagka-pastor. I tell you, that is not a separation. No? It is more of us applying what we learned from the school and blend it with the Christian values that we have. So, yan yung paano tayo magiging Christian sa workplace natin, paano tayo magiging Christian sa businesses natin, paano tayo magiging Christian sa bahay natin, no? Sa theology of work, every work, no, na ginagawa natin or ino-offer natin sa Panginoon is an act of worship. So, parang segue lang to, no? We'll tackle more about it during sa natin when we talk about the doctrine of holiness. So, inventions during this time, again, the year of enlightenment, and siguro dito rin yung birth ng yung kay Karl Marx about communism and about sa atheism, no? So, doon din yung mga development during this time, if I'm not mistaken. Printing press, telescope, advanced medicine, arts and science, no? Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, so on and so forth, no? excuse me. Famous journeys were taken by Ferdinand Magellan, Christopher Columbus, no? Amerigo Vespucci, and Marco Polo, no? Missionary movements, kung titingnan natin dito sa missionary movement, ang first na naging Christian is dito sa Roman Catholic and the Protestantism. So kung titingnan natin, coming from the north, no, ang Northern Europe is Protestant. So pagdating nila dito sa Northern America, ang Northern America rin naging Protestant din siya. Kung dito sa sa Southern Europe, ang influence nila is Roman Catholicism. That's why when they went to Southern America or Southern America and parts of Asia, ang nangyari rin is ang Roman Catholicism, no? Kung makikita mo sa Brazil, 'di ba? Andun yung Christ the Redeemer na parang monument nila. It's a Roman Catholic kasi na nation doon. And kung titingnan mo rin sa US and sa Canada, may kita din natin doon na Protestant nation din. O onti lang yung Catholic, no? It's because yun yung parang trend or yun yung parang transition coming from Europe going to America. Kung titingnan natin, si John Wesley is from the United Kingdom. And when Methodist came dito sa US, so saan ba nanggaling si B.T. Roberts coming from USA, no? Sa New York specifically. That's why our belief is also on the Protestant side, no? Ganun din. Siguro next natin dito. Okay? Wait lang. Okay, wala na. Siguro I will end here, no, in this part sa natin, tapos a little bit of discussion tayo. Siguro I'll break you into groups, and for probably 10 minutes please come back by tawag dito 56 or 57 siguro. Or siguro you'll pray with your group together kung ano yung mga na-learn ninyo from our discussion for today, no? What are the things? Siguro sobrang rami or siguro na-overwhelm kayo kasi first day of the class, pagkatapos ganito yung natakol namin. It's okay, no problem, no? Kung ano yung mga na-miss ninyo throughout the session. You can review our recordings, pero what are the things that made you realize or ano yung mga realizations ninyo right after knowing the church history, no? Kasi parang overview yun lahat eh. Parang dire-diretso tayo. Ano yung mga realizations ninyo? Ano yung mga learnings ninyo coming from our lesson this evening? And afterwards, you pray with your group and you may leave our class, no? So, pray with your group together. So, ulitin ko yung question. Ano yung mga realization ninyo from this topic or in this class natin ngayon? Sige. Wait lang ha. Ewan ko lang. Pero before tayo mag-breakout rooms, what are your questions? Ha? Sige. Wait. Teka lang. What are your tawag dito, questions or clarifications? 25 divided by 3, 8. Okay. Sige. Kung wala na yung question, i-message nyo ako or anything na pwede kong gawin para sa inyo, no? To have some clarification. Galing po ba, sige. Galing ba ng Catholic si John Wesley po? So tomorrow we'll be talking about John Wesley, so doon natin makikita kung saan siya galing. So, spoilers, galing si John Wesley sa Church of England, no? Or the Anglican Church. Yung sinabi ko that this is the Roman Catholic Church and this is the Protestant, yung Church of England nasa gitna. Hindi siya masyadong na-discuss kasi parang branch kasi siya ng Protestantism and at the same time, may influence ng Roman Catholic Church. So, I think that's for tomorrow na topic natin. Sige, questions? Kung wala ng questions, I will give you 10 minutes, no, to discuss with your group. Siguro mag-visit ako sa mga groups para marinig ko yung mga sharing din ninyo. Then afterwards, you pray together and you can leave the our Zoom meeting. So God bless us all and have a wonderful discussion. You can enter now sa inyong mga breakout rooms. Sige. Kamo po dira, pag-discuss po mo.